I'm down to take like one and then the other. I think comparing these would be interesting. So I'm down to take like the regular political compass today and then the other one later, and just to kind of also see like the difference, the way that these different pages just portray things differently. Okay, so this is a few propositions to start with concerning how you see the country and the world. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. So this is one of the things about these tests. It's like, who is going to disagree with this? Like Elon Musk. Like there's literally like 10 people, I think, who are going to disagree on this. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna maybe change the title so that I don't deceive anyone. So I'm gonna say taking the political compass test. Where do I stand? All right. Let's see. So now that that's out of the way, I would always support. Yeah, what I was saying. Like, who the fuck is gonna vote anything other than strongly agree? Like, I think we shouldn't destroy the planet to make like 5 people insanely rich. Like those 5 people are gonna strongly disagree. Anyone else, yeah. I'd always support my country, whether it was right or wrong. Well, I'm German, so yeah, no, of course not. This is basically, especially me being German. This is like asking, well, would you support Hitler merely because you are German? No. Wait, I'm supposed to say strongly disagree. Whoopsie. Whoops. Okay, I almost fucked that up like big time. No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that patriotism is a thing about like loving your country. It's about loving your country, men and women, right? It's about loving your neighbor and doing everything in your power to make life better for those in your country. I think that is what real patriotism is like. Like, fuck my country's flag, fuck my anthem, and fuck my emblems. I care about the people in my country. If I like doing things that will make life better for my people and my country, and I don't care about those who just raise a flag and sing an anthem and then do nothing. Like, that's at least where I stand on this. Not gonna lie, the politics compass test is kind of biased. It often asks questions anyone will agree or disagree with. Yeah, I mean, I think it's fun because it raises some... I guess it lets you get to know my point of view a bit better. Oh my god. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. No, I'm not a racist, but thank you very much. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I mean, I think this really depends. I mean, it is... Unironically, I mean, it can be true in times of need, right? So I think that this is one where you can really like think about it. I do think that in times of need, you may be the ally of someone you may not like to serve like some cause. But I don't think that is something you should trust, right? That's not real friendship. I don't think that's your actual friend. It's someone you maybe could unite with in a particular case, also depending. It really depends like what you're talking about. It is still the enemy, absolutely. Yeah, it is still the enemy, but it is possible that for some common goal, like, I don't know, if I'm the enemy with someone who, I don't know, with someone for like a whatever reason, or let's put it like this. There's like a racist group of people in politics. They are my enemy for being racist. Then there's like another group of people who I guess you could consider enemies because I disagree with them in like political things. Then there's a political project to give everyone free healthcare or something like that. I don't know. Again, free to the point of usage. I know people like to say, actually, sweaty, of course nothing is free. You pay with your taxes. Yes, but you mean free at the point of use. Anyways, so, and if for some weird reason, the racists want to vote in favor, like, you're not gonna say, actually, I'm going to vote against passing this healthcare bill because the racists agreed. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, if you can do good, you do that good, and then you continue to try to, get rid of those guys. But I think there's so many situations. Like, there's situations where you wouldn't. There's situations where you would. So it's really, really difficult. the cooperation between the Allied and the cooperation between Allies and Communist powers in World War II. That's an example. Yeah. Would you ally with anarcho-capitalists to defeat fascists? I mean, I think I would ally with basically anyone to defeat fascists. I mean, let's be very real. I don't think there's much distinction between many anarcho-capitalists and fascists, like in practice. But yeah, I would ally with anyone to defeat fascists. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Yeah, no. No. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Well, I think it's funny, being me. I think there is definitely... I would say agree, mainly because I think there's a lot of like disinformation that is put out there. And especially like TikTok, there's a dangerous line, right? I think it is worrying. I don't think it is necessarily bad. But yeah, I think it's something that you have to keep an eye out on. Will there be an Israel versus Palestine part 3? Not in the near future, maybe at some point. People are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. I mean, yes, of course. I mean, in your day by day, right? You can go to a different country, you can marry someone, and, you know, change nationalities and whatever, easier than you can become a millionaire. Like, it's absolutely. There's not only a millionaire, but like a capitalist, right? You're not gonna become like a factory owner if you were born like dirt poor, right? It can happen, of course, but it's very unlikely. And yeah, I think people have much more in common with working class people from other nations than what you have in common with Elon Musk. Like, let's be real. If you go to a bar with like Elon Musk, or I guess to like a Epstein Island, which I guess is what rich people do, or you go to a bar with a working class person from the country next to yours, right? I go there with an Argentinian or a Peruvian or a Bolivian. If you're an American, you go there with a Canadian or a Mexican. You're gonna have way more in common with them than you have with, again, like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or anything like that. So absolutely, yes. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. I don't know. Honestly, I'm not sure here. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure here what I would answer. So let's try to think about it. What are your thoughts on this, chat? So my thinking is that, well, I mean, inflation is absolutely a problem, right? It hurts the working class people the most. I guess if you look about this like from like a utilitarian aspect, inflation can hurt more people than who are hurt by unemployment in a way. I guess that's way to look at one way. Just a normal guy, hello. If everyone is employed but your money is worthless, more people live in poverty. Yeah. I guess I would agree with this. Not strongly, because I guess I don't know that much about like macroeconomics to be like, actually, yes, this is for whatever reason. My instinct is to say agree, but yeah. I guess I could be persuaded otherwise with a good argument. It hurts the workers more if they can't. I mean, the thing is that, yes, of course, it hurts more if you can't work. But I guess it also depends, like, well, maybe you don't have inflation, but you have, like, social safety nets, right? That's a different situation. And what do we mean by unemployment? Like, that, I guess that, yeah, that's also important. Like, are we talking about, like, 5% unemployment or, like, 50% unemployment? Like, if there's like 5% unemployment, sure, the majority of the population is probably gonna go by like good enough. Depends on what the baseline is, of course, but you know. But if there's like 50% unemployment, then yeah, that's gonna be much more important. So yeah, I mean, it really depends. I think you can spin this either way, if I'm being honest. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. Yes, you can never trust the only driver for a corporation is to make profit. That's it. Nothing else. They have a duty to their investors. Nothing else. It's not about protecting the environment. I mean, maybe if protecting the environment makes profit, somehow they'll do it, but it usually doesn't. In fact, it's the opposite. So yeah, they have to be forced to make working conditions for workers better, to take care of the environment and anything else. They will never do it voluntarily. From each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea. I wonder who said this. Yeah, the freer the market, the freer the people. That's garbage. No anarcho-capitalism over here. No, free market doesn't exist, right? The market will always be manipulated by powerful corporations. They will do monopolies. They will collude. They will form even oligopolies. It doesn't matter. There's no such thing as free market. There's not an infinite amount of competitors who then agree on the fair price. No, that's garbage. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product. Yes, absolutely. Water is a human right. Yeah. Let's see. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. I think I definitely agree. I think that to some extent, in the sense that I think that housing, for example, is a right. I think that as to how land should be allocated, there's a lot of ways to go about it. So that's why I'm not going to say strongly agree, because I think that there would be ways to maybe try to like have some sort of financial system to see where you end up living. But I don't think it should be hoarded. I think it's despicable that you have people who have like thousands of houses or apartments or whatever. Yeah, so absolutely this shouldn't be the case at all. The only reason I say agree and not strongly agree, because I think that this phrase could be like twisted to have a bit of a different meaning. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't think that... I hate the whole like investment thing overall. Not in the sense that like pulling money is not important to help start enterprises, but the whole... I don't know. I mean, I don't like these like big ass like investors who then... Again, the purpose of a corporation is to create profit for their investors, right? And that's the kind of investors that I mean. Or like their shareholders, I guess. Better to say it like that. And again, we can also think about this in like what we have seen with the stock market, or what happened in the 2008 crash, right? What is my Twitch channel name? My Twitch channel is Tikanik. So I'm going to link it in the YouTube chat now. Twitch.tv/Tikanik. All right. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Yeah, I agree. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. Yeah, that's what we have been talking. No, not at all. No. And I like how they say social responsibility. How is that social responsibility? Anyways, no, not at all. The rich are too highly taxed. Yeah, the like 0.whatever% effective tax rates in the US are way too high. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. No. Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. Of course. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of... Yeah, I mean, I don't really think that there's such a thing as like a genuine free market, but yeah, we need to have restrictions, absolutely. The rich are too highly taxed where? I mean, yeah, but usually, like the super rich especially, it doesn't, regardless of where you live, they're not too highly taxed. And the vast majority of the time, it's not going to be that way. Abortion when the woman's life is not threatened should always be illegal? Nope. Abortion is a very important medical procedure that can save lives. So, no, it shouldn't be illegal. There's, I guess, a follow on Twitch. Vania the Wary. I guess you are the guy who was, or girl who was asking, or MB, I don't know, who was asking for the Twitch link on YouTube. So, welcome to Twitch. Thank you for following. All right, all authorities should be questioned. Yeah, of course. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. No. I mean, honestly, I've had many opinions about this. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Historically, I would say that I'm against it. But I do have had things happen to like people very close to me. And I can definitely see like the desire for it, right? But I don't think that people who want it should be the ones who end up doing this. So what do I mean? I think that our penal system should always be focused to rehabilitating people so that they can go back into society and be productive. Of course, there are some people who I believe are just beyond help, who cannot be rehabilitated. I don't think that rapists or sexual abusers should go back out. I don't really believe in the death penalty, but I do think they shouldn't be released back out. I don't think that they're victims who have to deal with trauma for sometimes decades, and sometimes the trauma can bring about physical diseases and just what do you say, like all sorts of problems. I don't think that they should have to deal with knowing that their abuser walks free, even if it's been like 10 or 15 years. I don't care, like rot in prison. But there is something to be said when there is no reliable justice system. So if there is no justice system that can actually protect you, I think that it is not a good thing to take matters into your own hand. I think it leads to chaos, but it's not something that I'm gonna get sad about. Like when we see a case of like an abuser who walks free and then he gets like lynched or something, that's not a good thing. Like lynching is chaotic. It is not something that we should have in a society, but it's not in the top of my priorities list. Like I'm not gonna go out and riot for it, right? It's like I'm fighting for, a cleaner environment, better education, like an end to genocide in lots of places and whatnot. I'm not gonna like lose sleep over like a random abuser getting like his comeuppance. I don't care. Yeah, biblical quotes in a political test, yeah. Abortions are going to happen, so better to have them regulated and helped by medical professionals than doing it yourself. Absolutely, yes. Abortions happen whether you want it or not. And if it is illegal, people are going to die from them. If it's legal, you can at least help them. You literally have to answer like a Nazi to put on the right here. Yeah, taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. Culture is important, my friend. And that's the whole point. Like, if you think about what we want society to look like in the future, at some point, hopefully, all menial and annoying and hard labor will have been automated in some way, and we will all be able to collectively reap the benefit of that technological advancements. Wait, this is a new follow. Thank you, Muckbeck, for the follow on Twitch. Welcome. So at some point, hopefully that's going to happen. Maybe in 100 years, in 200, who knows, eventually. And when that happens, culture is going to be what we dedicate ourselves to, right? Dancing, singing, writing, playing, sharing, loving, whatnot, right? And museums are, an important part of what we are as humans. It's about what gives a life meaning. That's why I say, if we get rid of what we must do to survive, which is work, then we can do the things that actually make us like full and joyful, right? And museums and culture overall are a part of that, which is why we should support it, because it's kind of what we know is important. All right. All right, so I also said disagree. All right, schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. Of course, yeah, it has to be compulsory, yes. Unfortunately, if it's not compulsory, people who come from houses that are not particularly functional are just, well, not going to send their kids to school. Like I know that Milei in Argentina advocated for this, to not make it compulsory, and I think he had like a voucher program also that he wanted. It's not a good thing. Education is needed for people to grow, absolutely, and you cannot trust families to send their kids, because not every parent is a good parent, right? That's maybe if you come from like a loving family who always cared for your education, you may think that that's what happens everywhere, but it's not. If it's not compulsory, a lot of parents, and sometimes it's not even because the parents are just bad people. Sometimes they're just working 2 jobs, they never see their kids, and I don't know, maybe they could have used the kids' help working or something, because that's how shit of a society it is, that they need the kids to work. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons. You selected strongly agree, but said it should be... Wait. Schools should not make attendance compulsory. Oh my God. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Yeah, you are right. Thank you. I mean, maybe there could be exceptions, for, like if someone is sick or something. Like, yeah, sure. I didn't knew... Wait, really? That's like one of the core Millet ideas. University is a waste of time. It can be, for sure. I think university is 100% overrated. Like, I have a master's and I may get into a PhD program. So, I mean, I know what I'm talking about. I think it's definitely overrated. It can bring a lot of good, but I don't think university is for everyone. What university has mandatory attendance? Mine. I mean, not always, but there's a lot of courses where you have to be there like at least, well, it depends. Sometimes it's like 80, 70, 90, or 100% of the times. Yeah, it's not all courses, but there were definitely courses where you had to be there. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sort of people should keep to their own kind. Oh my God. Oh my God. I also think it's so funny the way it's phrased. It's like, why don't they just say, I think the blacks shouldn't mix with the whites? Like, that's basically what they're saying. Like, oh my God. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. No, I don't think that physical corrections are necessary. I am myself going to take a PhD, but only do it for degree benefits. I mean, yeah, I would like to teach in university eventually, so I might want to do that. I had 2 courses with mandatory attendance, and those were courses without exams. That's cool. Now, most of my courses had mandatory attendance. What does I mean by own kind? I mean, they mean like black people shouldn't like mix with white people, for example. Like, it's a very racist statement. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, I think that you should have as good as communication as you can with your child. But when I was a kid, I didn't like, for example, sharing things to my parents about, you know, who I had a crush on or whatever. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, I mean, that's one thing. There are some things that they should absolutely talk about them. Like if there's like an abuse or something going on, I think that we need an education in school where we teach kids early on to recognize signs of abuse and to teach them who they should talk to in case something like that happens, for example. But I don't think that a kid needs to say everything to their parents. Like, yeah, I think it's interesting to be able to talk about this. That way you know what some of my positions are. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. Absolutely. I think every single drug should be legal. Not because I think that taking them is good, but because I don't think that making them illegal does anything. I think it should be legalized and highly regulated. Because at least here in Chile and Latin America, we have a huge problem with the narcos, right? With the drug dealers and their cartels. There is no way to fight against them because it is insanely profitable. The harder you go against the cartels, I mean, even if you destroy them, they will come back, right? They will always come back. You cannot make fentanyl go away by making it illegal. It's still going to be there. You cannot make cocaine go away by making it illegal. It's still going to be there, right? I think you need to make it legal, regulated, and even give it out for free to people so that they don't have to commit crimes to obtain it, but do it in a safe and controlled environment and link it to recovery programs so that they can become functional and get over their addiction. And by doing all that, right, by making sure that it's either, hopefully the government, but if I'm even okay with saying, okay, let like private companies sell these things if they are regulated. But the whole point is to destroy the narcos, right? To destroy the drug cartels, take their business away and then use all the revenue as well to create as many programs as you can to help people recover. It is similar to prohibition. Like the thing that is here, and it's not really about capitalism or anything, is like this thing exists, right? The narcos exist. I don't know how it is in the US, but here in Chile, which is not even like the worst country in Latin America by any means in terms of like drug dealing, if you go to most, I don't know if most, but if you go to many of the lowest income schools, you can find the hardest drugs in the fucking bathroom. Like the bathroom in these schools are controlled by the narcos, and they sell drugs to children inside the school. So no one can say, oh, well, then, you know, or the whole thing, oh, some of these drugs just shouldn't be allowed. Sure, but they exist. They are in the fucking bathrooms. By making them legal and regulated, you make sure that they only exist in those places, and you take power away from people who are from the cartels. So yeah, I don't really think that. Yeah, there should be no drugs. No one should take drugs. But I strongly believe that making them legal and highly regulated and using the profit from that to create as many programs to help people avoid drugs as possible is the best way to go about it. That's my take on that. Anyways, I'm sure we can talk about it like a lot. Cartels don't just smuggle drugs. I mean, they do a lot more, yeah. What is my Discord server link? Let me quickly share it in the chat. I should have a command. I don't know how you even make commands on freaking what do you call it? YouTube. So here it is. This is the link. There we go. There are people who became homeless because they became addicted to drugs. Yes, it's horrifying. And that's why I think we should have programs to help them recover from their addiction, right? Because that happened with drugs being illegal, right? Drugs are illegal, yet it still happens. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. Wait, okay, I'm genuinely curious. They weren't. What is the counter argument? Like, okay, like which political position is against this? Okay, no, never mind. Okay, I guess I can see. Like, I guess you can say, well, it's not about finding jobs, it's about helping you as a human being. I guess that makes sense. I guess it's really hard to answer them. Because in our current society, you need jobs. No, okay, I think I understand. I think I see where the other argument is. So I think it's a bit harder to answer. So yes, I think that if you say strongly agree, you are basically saying, well, school needs to prepare you for your capitalist overlord, right? Something like that, right? So basically they have to prepare you for the factory job or the whatever job, right? I think that's like the reasoning, and saying strongly disagree would mean, no, school needs to teach you how to be like a proper functioning human being. And I actually do think there's a lot that you should learn that doesn't help you find a job, for example. Exactly. We need education to differentiate right from wrong, for example. Learning history may not help you find a job, but it is certainly important for you to, again, try to differentiate right from wrong and understand your current political settings. So I'm actually going to say disagree here. For that reason, I of course think it should prepare you to find a job, absolutely, because you need to function in a capitalist society. But yeah, I definitely think I would disagree. History teachers would disagree with that statement. I think it helps their job. Yeah, it's a history teacher complot. German train station, the same offering as 19th century drugstore. Wait, what? Knowledge for the sake of knowledge. Yeah. I mean, okay, honestly, I'm a physicist. I have a master's in physics. I'm probably going to go for a PhD in physics. Yeah, I guess I'm not really the kind of person who say agree at all in this one. I wasn't really thinking about that. Alright, let's continue. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be... Oh my god! Yeah. Some of these are just like, hey, are you Hitler? Wait, by saying disagree, should not be allowed. So by saying disagree, I'm against this, right? Yeah. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. No, that's not the most important thing. There are no savage and civilized people. There are only different cultures. Yeah, sure. I mean, I would put it differently, but yeah. Actually, eugenics are bad. Yeah. Eugenics, anyone? Yeah. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society support. I disagree. I think we should help people, even if they are like being dumbasses. Like, I don't think they should just like rot in hell. I don't think they should be like millionaires, but I don't think anyone should like starve for whatever reason. Yeah. When you are troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. I disagree. And I'm not gonna strongly disagree because I think to some extent, I've actually talked about this with like my psychologist, and I do this a little bit. I like rationalize a lot, and I like to distract myself and slowly deal with the problem. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see this question in a political test. I don't really know how it connects back to politics, but what do I know? Yeah. Again, I would, if anyone knows how this question is connected to politics, I'd really like to know that. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within the... Oh my God, bro, chill. Especially can never, because maybe if it were like first generation immigrants can find it hard or something to fully integrate within the new country, like maybe you can make an argument that is not racist, but can never fully... no. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. Again, who's gonna say agree? Like, especially always. Like, that's not a thing. Like, no, that's not a thing. Like, the interests of the corporation and your own are always at odds. First generation immigrants generally can't integrate. I don't know if we can say that. I mean, I think you could say that if you have like someone going from like a place that is like the furthest away from yours culturally, they don't even speak the language and things like that, then it can surely be difficult to fully integrate. I think that within a generation, fully integrating is not always going to happen, absolutely. But it's just saying immigrants overall. Like a Latino that goes to Germany, or like a fucking French person who goes to Germany, like, yeah, they can integrate. Like, absolutely. Like a Latino who goes to the US, and yeah, a lot of people can integrate. If it's a very different culture, it may take a bit longer, but it depends. Yeah, it depends on the person, the situation, the country. Or a German that goes to Argentina. Well, I mean, say what you want, but those Germans did integrate, and that's kind of the problem. Yeah, I mean, those Germans did fucking integrate, and that's exactly the problem. We just don't ask why your grandpa is called Adolfo, right? If you meet a German Argentinian, just don't ask why his grandpa is called Adolfo. Anyways, no broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. No, I disagree. I think there's a lot of good public broadcasting institutions, not only political, but educational and things like that. Yeah, absolutely. It also, yes, and the good thing, it also depends, the whole immigration thing, what support there is for when they arrive. If there are like programs that teach them the language and things like that, it's going to be much easier for them to integrate than if you just throw them into like a slum or something. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. I mean, well, that's absolutely true. Yeah, absolutely. Especially, bro, I'm Chilean. Like, yeah, our civil liberties got fucked in that thing. Yeah. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in a democratic political system. How totalitarian am I? Ask that question again, Mockbeck, when we finish the test, because I'm going to detour too much. So I'm not a fan of one-party states, but honestly, and this is like my most polemic opinion, I would say, there are some people who I wish couldn't participate in politics. Like, I don't think Nazis should be allowed to participate in politics. I don't know how you would implement that, but I don't think that their vote or opinion is valid in any matter, for example. So that, yeah, I don't think that that's a one-party state, but I think it's something that doesn't allow me to like strongly disagree. Why not? Because I don't think that they bring anything good to society. So I think that maybe disagree would be what best. They are subhumans? No, because their ideas go against, if your ideology is like, these people shouldn't exist, then yeah, you shouldn't be in power. Right? That's the thing. If your idea is, we should kill gay people, yes, I don't want you in politics. Easy. If you think, oh, we shouldn't allow, I don't know, like black people in the country, then yeah, maybe you shouldn't be in power. There are two ways this test focus on happier things than whether astrology. Wait, there's an astrology question in this thing? Okay, I actually want to check that out. If you try to, yeah, that's a good way to put it. If you try to take away the rights of others, you don't deserve yours. One-party state does not allow for. Okay, that's a good point. So if one-party state doesn't allow for differing thoughts, then yeah, I'm definitely on the disagree. Yeah, I'm definitely on the disagree side, but I'm not gonna say strongly disagree because I do think that there should be like some restrictions. So that's my logic behind marking that. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. No, absolutely. Yeah, it's a problem for any dissident. Like, technology will always be used to go after dissidents, right? So yeah. So I absolutely disagree. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. I disagree. I think there are crimes that cannot be rehabilitated, and for those we should just throw them in prison and leave them there. Right? We are not them. We are not the monsters. They are. So we will keep them in captivity in decent conditions. Like, they don't have to have like the greatest living conditions of the world, but not like fucking solitary confinement, right? We're not torture, right? But yeah, they have to be kept where they can never harm anyone again. Giving the government the power to kill people just ends in innocent deaths. Yes, I agree. It's never going to be 100% accurate. That's also the thing. So yeah, there's many reasons why you shouldn't allow that. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. No, what? Yeah. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. Nah. Honestly, I used to be a bit of an abstract art hater, but my girlfriend is an artist and she has taught me a lot. And there are sometimes things that you don't even think about, like a whole banana on the wall with a tape. Which is really interesting how that can spark conversation and debate on some topics. So yeah, no, I agree. I think art has 100,000 different representations and things like that. History nerd has a girlfriend? I do, yeah. And she's a history nerd as well, actually. I think Norway's prison system is pretty decent. Yeah, it's definitely something to be replicated. Every society has a leader. I mean, you can have a leader, but I mean, I guess the way that this is written is just like too like dictatorial. That's my thing. Like, sure, you have to obey the president, I guess, but it just feels like too dictatorial, right? It has to be a leader, right? I guess then maybe I should have like a disagree thing rather than a strongly disagree. The only conspiracy theory I believe is that those abstract art that goes for millions are used for. I mean, I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. I think there's a lot of money laundering going on in that when there's like a single like red square and someone's like, yes, I'll buy this for like $500 million. Like, you will never convince me that that's not money laundering. Like, yeah, you will never convince me otherwise. Yeah, prison system should be either rehabilitation or confinement, in the sense that some people just shouldn't go back out. Again, many murderers, I don't think every single murderer, I think that there are cases that can be like rehabilitated. especially when it's, I don't know, when someone killed their abuser or something like that. I think that's not the same. But yeah, many murderers, like, oh, someone just murders their girlfriend, for example. Yeah, you're not getting back out, sorry. People should have a leader, but also their own voice. Absolutely. That's a great way to put it. All right, what's next? In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. That's what we were just talking about. Strongly disagree. No, what? There's no point. This is like, yeah, God's punishment. No, fuck off. It is a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. So I'm going to say... So the reason why I'm inclined to say strongly agree is because I do not believe that we can rehabilitate like a serial killer or something. Maybe at some point, and maybe even if we can rehabilitate them, I don't think they should go back out, right? I think there are some, that's my case. So I know, for example, people who have been abused in horrifying ways and have been scarred for decades. And the mere thought that their abuser may leave prison is enough for them to commit Sudoku, right? So I don't think abusers or murderers should be let out. Not only, I mean, maybe we can rehabilitate them. Like maybe there's a way to, and that's a very complex issue. Maybe there's a way that we can ensure that they will never offend again. But I don't think that their like right to freedom is greater than their victims' right to living in peace. That is the way I see this. Right? The harm that you can do to the victim by having these people walk free, and I'm saying like the worst cases, because again, by some criminals, I do mean like the worst of the worst. If someone stole something, yes, rehabilitation, 100%. But in those cases, I don't think so. I don't know what your thoughts are. There are people who mentally ill and moral wrong can't be fixed. I mean, there are people who are beyond help. Yes. Let's see. So the business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. I disagree. I think that important is also depends. Like, sure, they drive the economy, but the writer and the artist make life worth living, right? So I really think that you can't say that one is more important than the other, especially in a capitalist society where we do need society to work in a certain way for life to continue normally. But yeah, and especially as we drive further and further away from a capitalist society, I think this will go from disagree to strongly disagree. Art and culture is wealth as well. Absolutely. I mean, I'm literally like a wannabe writer. I'm working on a novel and a physics book that I've been working on for a very long time. So yeah, I mean, and it's something that makes you dream. It makes you want to share things with others. It's great. All right, next. So mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. Come on. It's not the 50s, all right? What are they going to ask next? If women should not be allowed to vote or something? Almost all politicians promise economic growth, but we should heed the warnings of climate science that growth is detrimental to our efforts to curb global warming. Yes, absolutely. And permanent economic growth, which is necessary under a capitalist society, is not sustainable. That's the thing. Curbing global warming or solving the global crisis is impossible in a capitalist society because capitalism requires permanent growth. You have to sell more and more, produce more and more every year. If there's no growth, you go into a recession and you can't have that. Right? You can never solve global warming in capital. And that's not even mentioning that you can't control the corporations who are fucking everything up. Because again, their duties are to their shareholders, not to society. What if it is natural? Natural global climate change exists, but it goes over very long periods of time, and there's little you can do about it, right? There are many like different cycles of how Earth rotates and translates around the sun, and that gives a stage to a lot of different things. You can't do much about it, but man-made climate change is what we are talking about, and that is something we can influence. in principle. All right, so making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. No, I disagree. It's the opposite. I think that one of the things that gives life meaning is to try to make change, to improve things for yourself and for others. That's the whole thing. There's a whole ass conversation going on Twitch. I have no idea what's going on. All right. So page 5. Astrology accurately predicts many... How is this political? Again, like, sure, the psychological one I think is interesting. Like, which political ideology am I representing if I say strongly agree or strongly disagree? Like, no, I don't believe in astrology. I'm a physicist. I don't believe in it at all. But yeah, what's the political ideology? How many pages are there? 2 more. So this and 1 more. Yeah. Yeah, Mercury is in Gatorade. That's why Trump won the elections. You cannot be moral without being religious. No, of course you can be moral without being religious. Religious is... Yeah, honestly, listen, I'm a believer, right? I have my own religion, like religious beliefs. I don't think that you need religion to be moral. I don't think that religion is a sign of morality. And I think that it is possible and happens a lot that people commit the most heinous crimes in name of religion, right? Especially like organized religion. I despise it. I despise the Catholic Church. I think there are so many bad things going on. I'm sure I can despise a lot of other churches if I knew more about them. I just live in a Catholic country, so it's what I see all the time. But yeah, no, you can absolutely be moral without religion, yes. All right, charity is better than social security as a means of helping the generally disadvantaged. No, fuck charity. Like, charity is patchwork. Charity does good, sure, even though a lot of times it is literally like money laundering or people investing. Like, there's whole reports that have been made on how like Coca-Cola donates to charity, and then that money goes to like a community of workers of Coca-Cola that then makes them more profit or something. And like, sure, a lot of times good is made, but it's not quite the charity you think of, right? And I think that charity is something that shouldn't exist. We should have a society where we help everyone with a nice social security system. And yeah, charity is patchwork. As they say, yeah, charity shouldn't be needed, but it's a good thing when it helps the community. Abso-fucking-lutely. Some people are naturally unlucky. Yes. I mean, yes, come on. Like, if you are a baby and you get like abused or killed at age 3, like, what are you gonna say? Oh yeah, should have been smarter, 3-year-old baby. Like, of course not. Some people are just born unlucky. If you are born as the child of a millionaire family, your life is gonna be a lot easier. That doesn't mean that you're not gonna have problems, which can be very serious ones, right? But it's different kind of problem. It's different to have the problem that maybe your parents are emotionally distant, which can make your life unhappy, or you can never be fulfilled or something, right? Which can lead to addiction or whatnot. It's very different than being born in a very poor family where you live surrounded by violence and drugs and you don't have access to healthcare or education and a lot of other things, right? So yeah, but luck is a huge factor. Should I invested in Bitcoin in the age of 3? Yeah. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. No. I don't get. No, like, I think it's good when schools offer religious courses, right? If you are a Catholic or a Muslim or a Lutheran or whatever, and you want to take a course in religion, go ahead. But I don't think we should be forcing kids to do that. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. No, there's nothing wrong with consensual sex, right? Consensual. A same-sex couple in a stable... Okay, sorry. Okay, this is what happens when... Okay, so I was reading same-sex couple in a stable, and I thought like a stable with horses. And I was like, where the fuck is this going? Don't you think religion softens people? No. I mean, no, quite the opposite. I mean, I guess it depends what you mean by soften, but I definitely think that religion does the opposite many times. It makes you like hate certain people, judge certain people. It can make you like a good person, I guess, which may be what you mean by soften. But that's what you should have. You should have compassion. You should have love for thy neighbor. That's the whole point. So yeah, gay horses. Same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. Absolutely, right? I hate all those arguments where, oh, you know, a kid needs a mom and a dad. First of all, no, I don't think that you need to have like regular, like traditional man, traditional woman as your parents. I think you can have 2 women, 2 men, NBs, trans people. I don't give a fuck. As long as they are good people who love the kid is gonna be all right. And also, when people say like, they need a mom and a dad, well, who do you think they are adopting the kid from? Like, do you think the kid is being adopted from a loving family and they just go and take the kid and run away? Like, no. Like, the kid, there's a reason why the kid is being adopted, because he doesn't currently have that family. So a same-sex couple or any sort of like dissident couple providing a loving family is a good thing. That's a good thing. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. I definitely agree, but my problem is that I think that pornography in practice is very often linked to like sexual trafficking and many sorts of abuse. Even if it's consenting adults, it's like, how much do you consent, right, when you are being pressured in other ways? I agree in principle, but I think that the gooner. But I don't think there is that in practice. My big problem with pornography in general is precisely that, the whole like networks of abuse that lie behind it and exploitation. So I don't think there's anything wrong in principle, but in practice, yeah. I'd say you need 2 people to raise a kid, but the gender of them is not important. That's a good way to summarize it, yeah. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. I agree. No one can feel naturally homosexual. No, you are born the way you are born. It's not the gay communists who are teaching your kid to be trans, all right? It is what it is. Porn is unrealistic. Yes, so there's this story actually. I'm gonna like completely anonymize this just in case, because, well, Chile is a small country. But I know of someone who is like some sort of counselor to people who get married. And he was working with a married couple who were having a lot of intimacy problems. And it wasn't working, right? So they went to this counselor and where they were talking about him, and it seemed like the guy was just being like too rough and violent during the process of lovemaking, right? So they were talking about it, he spoke to them separately, and then he talked to the guy and he was like, you know, why are you doing these things if your partner doesn't seem to like them? And he was like, well, that's just what you do. And he's like, what? Yes, that's what you do. That's the way it's done. And like, why do you say that? And yeah, it turned out this guy was raised without any sort of sexual education, which is one of the reasons why I think sexual education is so important. And he learned what he learned about sex from porn. And he behaved the way that he saw in porn, which is usually very demeaning and violent to women. And yeah, it was an actual problem for them, and they had to go through quite a reevaluation process. And hopefully they're doing much better now. But yeah, I mean, never think that it's real. People don't. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. Nah. I mean, you can always... Okay. Okay, I'm going to teach you something about Chile. All right? So there's a reason why I'm going to say disagree. So, and not strongly disagree. I think that people say, oh, like... openness has gone too far. I think that having conversations about sex is good. Education about sex is good, and things like that. But here in Chile, we voted for a new constitution. And in Valparaiso, there was this event where it was like a pro the new constitution event. And they picked the craziest people to perform, like, I don't know, to do some show, like, and they picked the craziest people in the country. Now, don't ask me how, but one of them managed to introduce and hide an entire flag, I think it was a flag, of a Chilean flag in their rectum, and then and like at the end of the dance, they like spread their legs and took the flag out of their rectum. So I think that may have gone a little bit too far. All right. So I think that is like exclusively the reason why I'm voting disagree instead of strongly disagree. But yeah. Why has the number of trans kids exploded? I mean, I don't know if it actually has exploded, but it's like, why has autism exploded? Because we are now diagnosing it, because we are not going against it, right? Trans people are not getting as bullied as they did before, so it's much freer. But there's like evidence of people being trans like way back in ancient Rome and shit. Not with surgeries or HRT, of course, but you know, within what they had. So yeah, anyways, yeah. All right, so let's see where I stand. Wait, is this it or is it further down? Okay, so they are giving context. Left, right, and then there's like authoritarian, libertarian. I mean, yeah, sure, like left authoritarian, right, yeah, sure, whatever. Left authoritarian is North Korea. China is less to the left, but still authoritarian. Saudi Arabia is authoritarian right. Singapore, authoritarian right. Uruguay, libertarian right. Switzerland, libertarian right, which is... okay, that's interesting, sure. Especially Uruguay, sure. All right, so I am a left-wing libertarian, apparently. All right. According to this, I am a left-wing libertarian, minus 8.88, minus 7.03. Tick anarchist. Apparently, I'm an anarchist, I guess. That's what it says. It's gonna be interesting to I'm not gonna do it now. I think it's too much. But in the next stream, I'm down to make like another one of these tests. This is one that you guys sent and said it's much better. And yeah, we can then compare, right? See how it goes.